Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and thank you for being the yet to be told story today. Special guests, I am pleased to introduce the Australian National Maritime Museum's Manager of Indigenous Programs, Matt Paul, who will give the acknowledgement to country.
Thank you. Murray Bajari. Good morning in the Sydney language. On behalf of the Australian National Maritime Museum, it is an incredible honour to acknowledge the Gadigal people, the first peoples of Sydney's beautiful lands, sands and waters, of this place, Pirima, the Sydney language name for Pyrmont. The Gadigal were one of around 30 clan groups whose families and communities resided across the Greater Sydney region, from the Hawkesbury River to the north, to the Blue Mountains in the west and the Georges River to the south. The Aboriginal people of the Greater Sydney region were themselves descendants of one of the most incredible intergenerational migrations of people which began many tens of thousands of years ago. Aboriginal people explored and settled every part of this country where we find people living in Australia today. An acknowledgement of country is a simple request. All it is asking is that people take a moment to reflect on the deeper history of place where you stand today and think of those who travelled before you. So as we reflect on the nature of migration, let us remember those deep ancestral stories of migration that bind all of our stories of who we are. Every person alive today has an ancestor who is First Nations to somewhere. The human story is defined by movement, by exploration, an unbroken chain of descent from all those first peoples. Welcome to Gadigal land here in Sydney. Thank you.
We are here to tell this untold human story today. Thank you, Matt. I, too, acknowledge that we are standing today on country that is traditionally owned by the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and that our ceremony takes place on their lands and waters. I pay my respect to traditional owners and elders, past and present, and to all the Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people present today. Allow me to take a moment to do this acknowledgement in my mother tongue, in Arabic. أود أن أعترف بالملاك التقليديين للأرض التي نقف عليها اليوم وأقدم احترامي لشعب الجاديغو من أمة إيورا ولكبارهم في الماضي والحاضر. أقر أيضا بأصحاب الأرض التقليديين من الأبوريجينيين وسكان جزر مضيق توريس. Hello or marhaba in my mother tongue. My name is Petra Toke. I am a human interest journalist and presenter for SBS Arabic morning show, Good Morning Australia. My story did not start in Australia. I was born in the enchanting city of Beirut, and I have proud Lebanese heritage. My father migrated to Australia when he was 22, carrying a suitcase with endless memories. And here I am today, honored, touched, and moved that my name today will unveil his name on that speaking wall of the National Monument to Migration. Witnessing to a journey of a new belonging while the heart is still rooted there. Today, I proudly join 95 inscriptions from Lebanon, Lebanon. Lebanon, my heart's homeland. Thank you for joining us today. It is my pleasure to be your MC for today's ceremony. I would like to welcome each and every one of you, donors, supporters of Australia's National Maritime Museum, on this very special day to unveil panels on Australia's National Monument to Migration. Firstly, there are several distinguished guests present among us whom I wish to acknowledge. The Ambassador of Hungary, representatives from supporters of the Welcome Wall, SBS, Chief Group Services, Oz Arab Media, the Lebanese Australian, and the Australian Lebanese Historical Society. Let's welcome as well representatives from the Big Brother movement, councillors of the museum and directors of the foundation board, donors, sponsors and supporters of the museum, and every distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about you today. Today here at the heart of the museum, we celebrate contributions migrants have made to this country. We hope that today can remind each and every one of us of the great good fortune we share being here together as a collective of cultures and communities united in a celebration both of journeying and arriving home. Today we're adding 501 inscriptions representing 690 names to the National Monument to Migration of people who represent 61 countries. A big shout out to all the mothers here today. Let me tell you, mums are the first home and the first homeland, and in Lebanese we say Dene Im. The top 10 communities in order of representations in today's ceremony are United Kingdom, Lebanon, Italy, Greece, Poland, Germany, Scotland, Malta, Netherlands, Australia, and Hungary. Isn't that wonderful? This is just a reflection of the changing diversity in Australia, this fabric of society that is all about each and every one of you. Please raise your hand if you are a migrant or a child of a migrant. Keep your hand up in the air if your name is being celebrated and added today to the Monument of Migration. Congratulations. Today is all about you. Today is all about you. Today your names will join more than 34,000 inscriptions on this national monument. You are all in esteemed company. Your contribution is helping to recognize our proud, diverse national story, which is the core of SBS mission. Allow me to say that at SBS, we all have our own very special celebration this year, our 50th anniversary, as we mark a half-century serving the multicultural community of Australia. SBS began in 1975 with 2 small ethnic radio stations broadcasting in languages other than English, and has evolved into a cross-platform media network delivering content in over 60 languages that reflects contemporary Australia, rich cultural diversity, and supports new migrants and refugees, and fosters a sense of connection and belonging for all. Before we proceed, a quick some housekeeping reminders, because not every one of you would make it today. The event is being recorded. It will be posted on the museum's website. We will also send you a link to the recording for you to share with family and friends. We would also love you to share your experience of the day. If you're posting videos, photos, please use the hashtag #SeeMuseum. Again, #SeeMuseum, and tag us. For the bathrooms, please note There are toilets behind us on the first floor in Wharf 7. We do have photographers today filming the event. Kindly, if you prefer not to be photographed, please let us know. In a moment, we will hear from some of the families whose names are being added to the monument. But firstly, I would like to introduce the museum's director and CEO, Ms. Daryl Karp, member of the Order of Australia. Daryl, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Petra. And thank you, Matt, for that wonderful acknowledgement of country. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land on which we meet, the Gadigal, and pay my respects to elders past and present, and to welcome First Nations people, and indeed to welcome everybody here today. Distinguished guests, councillors, friends, welcome to this magnificent venue, the Australian National Maritime Museum, or as we more colloquially like to call it, the Sea Museum. And it's fitting that we are meeting over here, which is really near to where the migrants first disembarked after their long voyage to this, their new home. It is such a privilege to acknowledge all the families whose names appear on the Welcome Wall, Australia's national monument to migration. Migration and the role it plays in shaping this multicultural nation is one of the key pillars of our activities at the museum. It's a major focus in our telling of the stories of Australia as an island nation shaped by sea. The monument, which sits behind there and is actually the view from my window, and it's one of the highlights of my job, to stand and watch visitors as they walk along past the wall, having come off the ferry or come off the subway, stopping, pausing to read the names and reflecting on those narratives. Modern Australia is shaped by those narratives, by the contributions of the millions of migrants have made to our daily lives. And we're enhanced by that wide cultural mix. So we are immensely proud to be a key national cultural institution focused on this, the richness of those stories, fostering inclusivity, respect, and cross-cultural understanding. The stories of migrants speak to the universal themes of belonging, of love, adventure, family, and safety. Some of the stories are marked by adversity and loss and sadness. Some are less dramatic, but all are stories of hope. Hope for freedom, for a better life for our children, for safety and security. And it is this journey, the journey of hope, that I think connects us all. Like you, I too have many stories of family migration. My family have come from Lithuania and Germany via South Africa, and more recently to Australia. We too had dreams of freedom, of opportunity and hope. And I was moved by this comment about the suitcase, because certainly a suitcase features very strongly in our family memories. In this instance, it was a wooden one at the back of my grandmother's wardrobe filled with German Reich marks, a reminder of the hyperinflation and that those notes would not buy her a loaf of bread in the 1930s. By placing your family's names on the National Monument, you have added to our museum, supporting our commitment to honour, collect, and hold your stories, and to add them to our national story. And you become an important part of our museum family, and I invite you to think of the museum as another home, and I welcome your visits often. There are many, many organisations that help us do what we do, and I would like to acknowledge all of them, the embassies, the consulates, community groups, media organisations, all that assist us in spreading the word. And I would particularly like to thank SBS. I know we heard from Petra a little bit about SBS and its 50th anniversary, but SBS's leadership and passion for multicultural in Australia, and SBS was a founding member and a founding partner of our Welcome Wall program, and continue to be a valued partner in sharing our migration stories. I know we've acknowledged, but I would like to acknowledge again Chief Group Services, Oz Arab Media, and the Lebanese Australian, and community supporters of the Australian Lebanese Historical Society for your support. And to the speakers sharing your stories today, thank you. We could not run the Australian National Maritime National Monument Program without your dedication, your stories, your sharing them with us. And of course, we couldn't run it without our dedicated and passionate staff and volunteers who have assisted today. I would like to extend complimentary entry to everyone here today to the museum, and for all of our Welcome All guests, please go to the front desk and let them know. I think you will appreciate and be really excited and inspired by the stories that you may even recognize as you walk through the museum. As I've already said, today's event is one of my favorites. Not only are we welcoming over 690 new names and stories from 61 countries, but we gather here today, over 1,200 people, side by side, enlightened, moved, and connected by shared experiences. And this is indeed the holy grail of museum experiences. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you, Daryl. It's all about this suitcase of memories that we're unfolding this morning. Everyone, if you can kindly, please, be upstanding to join me in welcoming Olivia Fox, a Wiradjuri woman who will sing the national anthem in both English and the language of the Eora Nation.
Australia galyang gaya bun iora bajari yara galba mul yara buni yara gara gare nura mare going by buba diara go yego nyape barabago yirabana Australia gal garabrana iria bun yirabana Australia gal. Australians, oh let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing. Advance Australia fair.
It is now time to hear this human story that makes all the difference. I would like to introduce Steve Bennett. Steve migrated to Australia as part of the Big Brother movement, which this year celebrates its centenary. The Big Brother movement was created in 1925 to bring teenagers and young men from British Isles to the new and endless opportunities of Australia. Over the years, it has evolved into a youth support program to provide opportunities for Australians, but the organisation still honours its little brothers who migrated to this country. Please join me in welcoming Steve Bennett.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to elders past and present. I extend my respect to all Indigenous people who are present today. A big welcome all to the little brothers and their families and guests who are here today. On the 29th of July 1970, as a 16-year-old boy, I found myself sitting on the tarmac at Heathrow Airport, bound for Australia. As the soundtrack, The Long and Winding Road by Paul McCartney, bellowed through the plane, I remembered being fearful as I contemplated where this long and winding road would lead. I knew no one in Australia. It was all new, and I was alone. As a British schoolboy, I saw an advertisement in our local paper for boys to emigrate to Australia. Since every opportunity and adventure starts with the first step, I had just made mine with the help of the Big Brother movement. I was fearful and I was frightened, but then that's never been a reason not to push through. Push through with gritted teeth to fulfill dreams. Fearful is okay. Hard is okay. We grow when challenged by fear, and hard builds character and resilience. I confess to wondering, what have I done? Am I completely mad? England would have been far more comfortable if I didn't freeze to death. But the word comfortable smacks to me of mediocrity, privilege, and entitlement. I was already homesick, and as I fought back tears, my thoughts focused on the thousands of the other little brothers who'd gone before me. If they can do it, then so can I. Somehow, their example gave me strength. Thank you, lads. That was 55 years ago. Close to 12,000 little brothers came to Australia with the Big Brother movement. I can't begin to tell you how grateful I am to that 16-year-old boy who had the courage to push through and endure the early hardship that a new life in Australia was to bring. I just owe him so much. The way he remained steadfast and immovable taught me resilience and set me up for life. I laugh as I am now old enough to be his grandfather. As I continue to reap the benefits, my life has continued to prove that good can always come out of adversity, so I tip my hat to him. Upon arrival, I was whisked off to the hostel at Strathfield, and then 2 days later to the training farm at Abbotsbury. Then I was given a job on a farm as a jackaroo in a little place 50 kilometres between Parkes and Wellington. As the old red rattler crawled across the Blue Mountains, my overnight train journey seemed to take forever. I just couldn't believe the beauty and vastness of this country that was to become my home. Once more, I contemplated where this long and winding road would lead, and I hoped I'd be travelling somewhat faster than this train. I was greeted at Parkes Station by my new, brash and weathered employer, Lance Barber, who had trouble finding me because I looked younger than the school kids getting off the train. I worked on the property for 3.5 years as a typical Pommy jackaroo. The hours were 6 a.m. to 9 p.m, 7 days for $9 a week. and all the boiled mutton you could eat. The treatment was harsh. Then one day I received a telegram from my parents, who were already on a ship with my 2 brothers, my sister, and even my granddad, after having decided to emigrate to Australia. Shortly after their arrival, I left the farm and moved to Sydney, where my dad would introduce me always after that as his number 1 son, Stephen. He's the one who drug himself up by his bootstraps. In 1979, I hit the jackpot when I married the love of my life, Susie. We've been married for 46 years and have an amazing daughter, Rachel. Thank you. Australia has been good to all of us. We have all thrived and we've made our way. It truly is the land of opportunity and a fair go for everyone. From my experience, even a pommy jackaroo nobody who works bloody hard can be awarded the Order of Australia. My thanks to the Big Brother movement, who started the wheels turning for the Bennett family, and the close to 98,000 direct descendants of the Little Brothers, our legacy, some who are here today. In its centenary year, the Big Brother movement continues to provide life-changing opportunities led by the best CEOs, Sue Ellen McCaffrey, and the staff of the Big Brother movement through the Global Footprint Scholarships program, which has provided scholarships for more than 1,100 young people over the last 40 years. We Little Brothers are proud to have our names added to the welcome wall here today. Let's help keep the vision of a fair go for everybody alive, because this, as a nation, is who we are. Thank you.
A sincere thank you, Steve. Thank you to that 16-year-old that knew that fearful is okay, yet the destination is somewhere else. Thank you, Steve. It's all about the human story today, again and again. It is my pleasure to introduce another story to be told, another story to be revealed today, another story that started somewhere else and made Australia its home. Mohammed Huq, the floor is yours.
Thank you everybody. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owner of this land, the Gadigal people of the Eora nation, and pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Good morning everyone. My name is Muhammad Ohidul Haq, and I am honored to share my journey with you today. I grew up in Utholi, a small rural village in Bangladesh. I was fortunate to receive a scholarship that took me beyond my village and allowed me to pursue higher education. While I was in the university, civil war broke out. As a result, Bangladesh gained independence, and the resulting instability meant continuing my studies in Bangladesh was not possible. I was offered scholarships to complete my doctorate degree both in Canada and Australia. I chose Australia mainly because it seemed warmer, and I have never regretted that decision. In 1977, the Ford Foundation funded my airfare to Australia via Bangkok. I arrived in Sydney with just £10 and some books, lost and confused. A kind gentleman gave me 2 10-cent coins and advised me to wait until 9 a.m. to call the university. Fortunately, a university representative found me and I was relieved. Professor Rutherford from the University of Sydney and his team helped me settle in. My first night in Sydney was spent in student accommodation in the Seymour Centre. I still remember how strange the milk tasted. I later rented a room near the university and worked part-time while studying. I recall being amazed by how orderly the supermarkets were and how people followed road rules, something I would never seen before. Some of you may have experienced the reverse shock and no road rules overseas. My wife joined me soon after, and we together built a life here. We raised 3 children who studied in Australia's top schools and universities and achieved high results. I have 4 grandchildren. I completed my PhD at the University of Sydney, and I went to publish extensively in the area of income and consumption inequality, road safety, living standards, gender inequality, which would not have been possible if I did not settle in Australia. My first role after completing my doctorate was a senior researcher at the New South Wales Health Commission. At that time, I did not have my permanent residency, so I applied directly to the Immigration Minister, and the Health Commission's Director, Dr. Joe Martin, kindly held my position until my PR was approved. I later worked across government and academia, including head of the Evaluation and Statistical Services section of the Road Traffic Authority of Victoria, Chief Econometricians at the Australian Institute of Family Studies, and the Director of MBA and DBA Quantitative Analysis of Victoria University. Eventually, I became a professor and opened my own academic institute, continuing my research and policy work. None of this would have been possible without the opportunity Australia gave me. I also want to honor my late parents, brother and sister, whose support helped me build a better life in Australia. And to my wife, Roshan, who is here today, thank you. She completed her master's and doctorate degree here, and her work has helped contribute to the development of women, in particular, migrant women in Australia. I have traveled 58 countries, but I believe Australia is one of the most beautiful countries, rich in opportunities, freedom, and fairness. This is my home, and I hope I have contributed well to the Australian society and beyond. I love Australia. Thank you.
Australia loves you. £10, some books, all the way from Bangladesh to Australia. Dr. Muhammad Haq, shukran. Thank you. I find myself reading books that exceed and surpass the paper. These human stories are so much worth stopping at. It's my pleasure to introduce our very fine speaker today, Violette Turbai, or Violet Torby in Australian, whose maternal great-grandfather arrived by sea from Lebanon, leaving Deir al-Ahmar and Kfar Zghab there in 1891. There's a story yet to be told. Please welcome Violette Turbai.
Thank you. Okay, good morning. Today I am privileged to share a few details about my family's migration story. I have Lebanese immigrants on both sides of my family, and the inscriptions on the welcome wall incorporate 3 family names: Kuri, Hannah, and Torby. The Kuri and Hannah clans, my mother's side of the family, hail from a small village in the mountains of Lebanon called Frisrob, whereas my father's family, the Torbys, hail from a village in the Bakar Valley called Daryl Karp. 2 different areas, 2 different eras, but similar immigrant experiences, hard work and sacrifice to get ahead. And descendants of all 3 families join me here today. My story starts with my maternal great-grandfather, Joseph Curry, who arrived by sea in 1891, and he hawked for a living. His 4 children eventually migrated to Australia. The first of these to arrive was my grandfather, Raphael Curry, who arrived in 1908. In 1920, Raphael returned to Lebanon to marry. His wife, my grandmother, Maureen Hannah, was the first of the Hannah family to migrate here. Joseph's other children, Jaber, Elias, and Rose, arrived in the early 1920s. My grandparents, Raphael and Maureen Curry, lived in Glen Innes, New South Wales, before eventually settling in Charleville, Queensland, where I was born, by the way. My great-grandfather travelled back and forth to Lebanon at least 3 times, which was really quite unusual in those days. He left Australia for good in 1928 because his wife was not willing to migrate here. By contrast, his 4 children remained in Australia and never returned to Lebanon. The story of my father, Shafiq Torbi, is more recent. Dad migrated here by sea in 1951. His brothers George and Joseph followed 5 years later, but by air. Dad met and married my mother, Joan Curry, in 1952. Although Dad intended to return to Lebanon after a few years, he stayed. He loved Australia as much as his homeland. He could see the great potential here to build a future for his family, and he was a proud Australian. My forebears earned a living by hawking in country areas where they provided a service to farming communities, mostly in the New England district, and selling mainly dry goods. There was no Amazon or eBay back then. They got around mainly by horse and cart, and in some cases on foot. My forebears had limited education, if any. Difficulty with the English language and lack of education made it difficult to find employment. Hence, hawking and eventually shopkeeping afforded them the opportunity to earn a living for their growing families. Once they accumulated enough funds, they would establish a business in a regional town. Post-World War II, though, hawking was less common. Immigrants like my father started out working in factories until they could establish their own business. The more I learn about my forebears, the more I believe them to be true pioneers. They left their homeland to come to a vastly different country to find better opportunities for themselves and their children. They had hard lives and faced many obstacles, including the White Australia policy. Their common occupational choice of hawking and shopkeeping led to their dispersal throughout regional areas of New South Wales and Queensland. They were hardworking, God-fearing people who became active participants in their local communities and churches. They did not draw attention to their Lebanese origins, but encouraged their children to become Australian. Despite this, they remained proud of their Lebanese heritage. I am very proud to be honouring my forebears here today with their inscriptions on the welcome wall. Thank you. If I could just take a few more seconds, I would just like to make special mention of one family member here today. I have spoken about my first ancestor to arrive in Australia in 1891, my great-grandfather Joseph Curry. One of his grandsons, who also happens to be named Joseph Curry, is here with us today. Joe turns 100 next month. He's sitting right there in the third row. And although Joe was just a toddler when his grandfather returned to Lebanon for good, he has been a great source of information for the Curry family history. We are honoured to have him with us here today, so thank you, Joe, and thank you for your time.
شكراً من القلب. Thank you wholeheartedly, Violette, for voicing this story. I would like to invite Umberto De Bellis up to stage, the maestro guitarist, to sway with his music in the world of improvisation, composition, and music education. Let's give the floor to music. Thank you, Umberto. That was sensational. Ladies and gentlemen, Umberto will continue to play in just a moment. But before we end this formal proceeding, please join me in thanking all the speakers and our performers today. Thank you. Shukran. We trust you can take some time to enjoy your day here. Now that we have unveiled the new panels, just over there, you can see at the back, please go view your name anytime you like throughout the day. There are a lot of people here today, so please be kind to each other as you look for your name. So please do take this opportunity. It's a beautiful day to visit the museum while you're here. Don't forget, you do have free entry, free access to the main museum galleries and the Ultimate Depth exhibition for registrants and their guests today. We do have lots to see, and the museum is open until 4 p.m. At 2 p.m. this afternoon, in the museum theatre next to the main foyer, we have a special talk about migrant ships to Australia. This will be as well a free talk for all attendees of today's ceremony. We reach this end, and every end is a blessed new beginning. Thank you wholeheartedly once again for attending to help us celebrate the lives and many, many contributions of those honored on the monument today and helping us create this wonderful occasion. Congratulations to all. Have a lovely day and see you again on this stage. Thank you. Thank you.